we'll need a picture first. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, it is time for another episode of the MLB Guardcast. This episode number 25. I am Mike Vorhies. Alongside me, as always, Mr. Bryan Shaw, aka Bob Ross, aka statistician extraordinaire. Brian, happy Friday, brother. How are you?
Happy Friday. I'm a little tired. I've been painting.
Thus the
So
Bob
that's
Ross
that's why you
reference.
called me Bob Ross, except I'm not making happy clouds, although there's a
No,
lot
it's
of
happy little trees. Happy little
happy
trees.
trees. I thought it was happy clouds too.
Did he do
There's
that? I don't know. I have to go back and
there's
watch him.
too
I
many
miss.
there's too many happy clouds outside, and we've got a rain out
Ugh.
today.
So let's start with the bad news. The Guardians have had a game scheduled tonight against the best record in all of baseball, the New York Yankees, and unfortunately, Mother Nature says, "Nah, you're not playing today." So it'll be a doubleheader tomorrow with the first pitch at 12:10 for game one, and then game two will start at 6:10. So separate tickets, people can't stay. It's not the traditional doubleheader.
They
It's a
weren't
day
gonna
night
do
doubleheader.
they weren't gonna do traditional with the Yankees in town because then they
Mm,
only get the funds for you get a free game basically. I'm sure there's
you do.
plenty of seats available for both games. And I believe tomorrow is going to be a lot nicer. It's going to start to dry out tonight.
Well, you
Um,
you are our resident meteorologist. I trust you for all my weather forecasting.
yeah,
So
I
I
did
believe you.
predict that today was going to be a washout. So like they could have maybe started a game at like 9 o'clock tonight. But the thing is, it's been raining nonstop for 2 days. That field's got to be drenched.
Field the outfield and that has to be soggy, right? Yeah, it's not probably not the greatest of
Yeah,
conditions. It
I
has
didn't I
been
didn't
it's
think
been
today was going to
raining.
happen.
No, but hey, let's not talk about bad news. We have more bad news, but we'll get to that later. Let's talk about some good news. We haven't recorded since we talked with not only Jim Rosenhaus of the Cleveland Guardians and Marco Lanave of the Akron Rubber Ducks. Spring training ended, and Major League Baseball, the games counted, they started, and we have a first place Cleveland Guardians team. 9-3, the Cleveland Guardians, the second best record in all of baseball. If you had that on your bingo card, meet me later. I want to get some lottery numbers off of you. I did not see this coming. This team, Brian, in a word, unbelievable.
It's been a fun start. I think there's a lot that looks like 2022. There is a lot that is happening that I think that we thought was going to happen last year as a continuation of 2022. And especially with things like when the shift ended and stuff like that. And so I'm not super surprised at the results. The amount of runs is a little bit of a surprise, but the way they're playing baseball is not a surprise. I have some stats to talk about. It's been really, really exciting. The same fight is there. The same never say die is there. The same Guardiac kids are there from 2022. And things just a lot of good is coming together. The bullpen was really good at the beginning of last year. They've been really good so far
Mm-hmm.
this year. We knew the starting
Yeah,
pitching was going to be a positive. We knew we talked about you and I had talked about in our preview if players like Stephen Kwan and Andreas Jimenez and even Jose have more a season more closer to 2022, this team was going to be good. And then you had
mm-hmm.
other elements in there as well that we previewed, and a lot of that is coming together. There's a couple of things to watch out for, not necessarily concerned, but to watch out for. But
Right.
hopefully that can continue. They didn't just beat
Well, and
bad teams either. They beat
well,
Oakland.
we
They beat the Red
started,
Sox.
yeah, we started in Oakland, and I curbed my expectation because, well, can we even call them Oakland? I guess we can call them Oakland for this year,
Until tomorrow, until
and then
next year,
next.
Sacramento.
And then well, no, then they're going to go by just the A's. They're not even going to go from, they don't even want to be known from a city. They're just the
Right.
A's.
Right.
Anyway, well, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother podcast. So yeah, we take 3 of 4 from Oakland, that was amazing. Opening night, obviously late game, 10:05 out in Oakland. Shane Bieber, obviously our opening day starter, was phenomenal. And if you had Tyler Freeman getting the first RBI of the season, again, come and talk to me and let's get some connect on some lottery numbers. Tyler Freeman, folks, in center field. I'm still kind of getting used to it. We had 11 hits as a team. Shane Bieber had 11 Ks in 6 innings, looked absolutely Cy Young esque in his first start. We follow that up with 2 more wins against the A's. We lose the series finale 4-3. That one was a little tough. I thought we could have won that game, but hey, to start the season 3-1 after the first series, I'll take that 9 times out of 10.
To just keep
We
winning
move on to
series. That's all you can ask
right.
for is
That's
is
and that's
is
all you need to
win
do.
series. You're not going to
Mhm.
go, you're not going to play 800 baseball all season long.
No. Well, maybe, who knows? The Guardians could do a lot of things. Again, this team hasn't this season has not started the way anybody thought. We go to Seattle, we lose the opener to Seattle 5-4. Then we win the next 2, including an 8-0 shutout in the finale. Again, we take that series 2 games to 1. Seattle's supposed to be a really good team this year, and the Guardians kind of made light work of them, so to speak.
Yeah,
You move
great
on.
series.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of a test for people, I think, where okay, yeah, you beat up on Oakland, big deal, but think of it like college football. You need that warm-up game, right? And
Hmm.
thankfully, the MLB scheduling gods graced us with an opening series to, get our feet wet a little bit and
Yeah.
then go into Seattle. And keep in mind, this has all been on the road.
Yeah. We played our first 10 games on the road. After we leave Seattle, we go to Minnesota. So a division matchup right out of the gate with Minnesota. We take game 1, we take game 2, and we don't get to play game 3. It gets rained out. But again, we take the series 2 games to none. And after the first 3 series, our team has 2 losses, 7-2. Did anybody see that coming? I didn't. I know, Brian, you and I text quite a bit during those first few series. I didn't see this coming.
I mean, there were things, as I mentioned, that like if they had come together and they have, we could have seen something like this. But I also expected some growing pains out of Stephen Vogt. I think we did
Hmm.
see that in might have been the first Seattle game or the last Oakland game where there was just some pitching decisions that he had made and he was still trying to figure things out. But I haven't seen him repeat the mistake. So,
No.
he's learning. Um, I get it. But to start off out of the gate like this, I do think is a bit of a surprise. They did something similar though in 22. They were the best offense in baseball for through the first 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
a lot of people said like, oh, usually they start off slow in April. In 2022, which remember that team made it to the second round of the playoffs, took the Yankees to game 5. They also started hot in April and we have a podcast labeled the best offense in baseball from last April.
We do. We absolutely do. I remember that. So then we get done with Minnesota. Then finally, we get to have a home opener. Just happens to fall on the solar eclipse day as well. But before we played the game, we got awful news. Basically, I picture a kid on the playground, the sucker punch to the stomach. We lose our ace, Shane Bieber, to an elbow injury. He has to have Tommy John surgery. He's out for the season. But what gets me, Brian, is he was 2-0, didn't give up a single run, and he had 20 strikeouts in 12 innings.
Yeah, he was
And
phenomenal. And I think the only thing that maybe raised eyebrows for people, and you thought it was maybe just a management thing since he was coming back, was they weren't letting him go real deep. He was getting this done with like 85 pitches and going into the like sixth inning, and then they were pulling him. I guess he was feeling pain, and then in that second start, he wasn't recovering. They imaged it, and unfortunately, he needs Tommy John. Do you
Yeah.
want to discuss? Do you want to discuss more Shane Bieber later, or do you want to cover that now?
Let's jump right into Shane Bieber because I mean this is big news before we even play our home opener. Losing our ace after two amazing starts, 2-0, obviously no earned runs, 20 strikeouts in 12 innings. That's a big deal. And then all of a sudden, poof, in a puff of smoke, he's gone.
Yeah, I think they had contingencies in case because you're also potentially worried about Tristan's elbow too.
Yeah.
It's why you brought in Carlos Carrasco. It's why you brought in Ben Lively. It's why you brought in Tyler Beatty. It's why you brought in several of these players to be back end starter guys in case you
Depth.
needed to
Right.
bring somebody up. Unfortunately, Joey Cantillo is also on the injured list in Columbus. He had a strained hamstring, I think, and he'll be out for a couple of months. The thing though is I have a feeling that this might mean that Shane Bieber might be here next year because he's a
I,
free agent.
right.
And unless somebody gives him like a 2-year deal where, okay, we'll pay you, I don't know, 5 million for the year you're rehabbing and then 15 million for the second year. But even if, but let's say Cleveland did something like that, where if it was like 5 and 10, wouldn't he want to rehab here where he's used to rehabbing here and used to our guys? Somebody said the Yankees. Well, why? Why would he has no ties to anybody with that organization to
No.
for comfort level to, ramp up. Like there's a lot that's involved in that. So, we'll see. It obviously takes the organization to want to do something like that too, and maybe they just feel like, okay, well, in 25 and 26, we feel like our rotation will be fine without Shane, and they maybe have been probably thinking that they weren't going to have Shane Bieber at that time anyway, because they wanted to trade him last season before he got
Right.
injured. But I think it leaves the door open for him to return.
I do, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Shane obviously loves it here. He did everything he could this offseason. He even went to the performance center to like add velocity to his fastball because that's whatever his velocity's down. He's not the same guy. Well, he did everything he could in the offseason. He looked okay in the spring, and then he comes out of the gates and has two amazing starts, and then all of a sudden you get the news. I thought it was a joke. I literally thought it was an April Fool's Day joke. And it took me, I think, three or four websites and a bunch of X posts. And I'm like, oh no, this is like legit, real.
Yeah, I kind of had the same reaction. I thought you were messing with me when you texted me because I didn't see it before you had texted me. And that's exactly it. I immediately went on Twitter, looked for the usual suspects of, okay, if they posted it, then it's going to be true. I was, it just kind of came out of nowhere. It was very
Right.
similar to like the Deshaun Watson shoulder break news, where like it was right
Right.
after he goes, what, like 8 for 8 in the second half. And then the
Right.
next
Looked
day,
amazing. And
then the
yeah,
next day they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, he did that with a broken shoulder and he's out the rest of the season." You're like,
right.
"Excuse me?
You're
When
like,
did
wait a
this
minute,
happen?"
what? So yeah, the so obviously I want him back next year. He's gonna miss the rest of this year, and I've heard up to like June of next year potentially.
Yeah, I think the
So
timeline is
that's
what, 12 to 16 months
yeah.
or 12
And
something like that.
obviously
So it's
these
going to
are
be half the
athletes
season.
and right. So
It'll
somebody,
be All-Star
yeah,
break.
somebody will give him if it's not the Guardians, which I can't imagine the Guardians wouldn't say, "Hey, come on, come back. We'll use you for the second half of the year. We'll get you ready to go. And then if you want to go elsewhere, you can, or if you want to stay here, we'll make it work." I mean, maybe this is uh the baseball gods allowing us to keep Shane Bieber just a little while longer. Nobody was really ready to get rid of him yet, but we digress, and we have to play a home opener with this news that broke. Well, I believe it broke hours before the home opener, correct?
No, I think it was the game before because they
So it
finished the
broke on.
series, and that was and that was kind of a okay. That was a good win. You know, they could have broken them. They win that last game, and they don't like let it get to them because I remember there was interviews with Stephen Vogt and him having to talk to the players and things like that, and them saying like obviously everybody feels terrible for Shane, and you know a couple of players saying like Shane wouldn't want us to be down and. So they won that game, and then we have our home opener, like you said, Eclipse Day. Amazing, amazing experience all around
Oh, yes,
downtown.
I was getting ready to say you got to take it in from Progressive Field. You were there. You got to see the eclipse. I live in Akron, which is a little south of Cleveland, probably about 45, 50 minutes away. I will say, oh, aside from baseball, that was the coolest thing I have ever seen. The eclipse was incredible. Getting to experience it with my family, it was way better than advertised. Super cool. But Brian, please, I'm going to live vicariously through you for just a little bit. I was very envious when I saw you posted photos from Progressive Field. So take us through. What was that like for the home opener, and then to be able to experience the solar eclipse as well?
Just, I mean, the whole energy. So actually, surprisingly, it was really easy to get downtown. I was shocked by that. I had no troubles getting downtown at all. Did you almost die from me saying
Yeah,
that?
I
I almost
did.
killed Mike. He was so surprised. I from Parma, I got down to downtown and out of the vehicle in 13 minutes. Like that quick.
Oh my,
No traffic
wait a
whatsoever.
minute. What? No. Now here's the funny part too. Like with all the eclipse stuff going on, and I know the weather here for Ohio changed multiple times leading up to the eclipse. And I think a lot of people kind of left because they didn't think they were going to be able to see anything. Turns out to be a beautiful day.
Yeah,
I
perfect day.
saw parking. There was posts popping up all over the place for downtown Cleveland and what they were charging to park. And I saw signs for like $80,
Mhm.
$90, $100. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Please tell me you did not park in any one of those
No, no.
super expensive
I was
lots.
with a big group, so we had some our friend drive us and with a minivan and dropped us off, but
Nice.
it was a super easy drop off. I don't know. We got there, I think we got downtown at about 1 o'clock. I don't know if we were just late and like everybody was already there, but then we, you know, got settled, watched the eclipse, you know, went to the stadium, got to see a little bit of kind of some of the updates. I haven't been upstairs yet. It was really, really
Hmm.
crowded. And so that'll be my next day. But I did hear that one of the sections, it'll be the right field section. That's not even open to the public. So I guess there's
Ah.
not a lot to see for the upstairs.
Well, obviously, we've made some updates at Progressive Field, which is great. I can't wait to get up there to see it. Now, I have one more question about the eclipse before we talk about the home opener. Did they give you glasses when you walked in, or did you already have your own?
I had my own glasses. I had a like a it was a local company that made them and I got it from my mom. It was like a thing that you could put your phone on and
Oh,
hold it and
nice.
then take pictures.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, we had all of our gear and stuff and then I put some of my pictures up on Twitter and it, I was not expecting it to get as dark as it did and then all like and as sunned as it was. Like just
Yeah.
to have it be pitch black, well not pitch black, but like dark as if it was night out for 5 minutes was really
Yeah.
really wild. And then like as soon as there was enough sun, it just
Yeah.
got light
It's
again.
like it. Yeah, you had no idea. It was that was one of the coolest things. My family took it in. We were around a lake to hear like the birds stop and it just get completely silent and everybody's just kind of in awe. Like that to me was cool. And then before you know it, it's bright out again, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was still pretty cool that it had gotten dark. But you get to take in the home opener. It's a win. We beat the White Sox 4-0. The White Sox have always been a thorn in the Guardian side, whether it was the Indians, now the Guardians. It always seems like the Royals and the White Sox are the two teams that we struggle with the most. Did you think that we would beat Chicago as easily as we did on the home opener, given the news of Bieber? Do you think that kind of gave them an extra pep in their step, maybe? Or is
Um,
Chicago really that bad?
Chicago stinks. I mean,
They do.
I'm actually
They do.
annoyed we didn't sweep them. I'm annoyed. I'm a little annoyed that uh the last two outings from our pitchers haven't been ideal because I think the White Sox are terrible and I think they're going to be awful this year. Uh Now they rebounded in game 3 and we
Right.
had the Naylor Bros, the Super Naylor Bros on sibling day take
How
over.
awesome is that? That was probably super cool. I had no idea until they talked about it in the broadcast. I had no
Yeah,
idea it was National Sibling Day,
they
but the
take over
fact
the
that you
game.
had right, Josh Naylor hits a home run to right, a couple batters later, Bo hits a homer to center, and the Guardians are back in it in a game where we had fallen behind 5-0, just like we did in the second game of the series, fell behind 5-0. We fight back to make it a game. Game two, we come up short, but game three, we're able to take it to extra innings. And of course, it's Bo Naylor that walks it off. I believe it was Naylor. Josh had 3 RBIs. Bo had 3 RBIs on National Sibling Day. Like, I thought that was just extra icing on the cake.
And one little cool note, so Tyler Beatty has
Mm-hmm.
the championship belt, the Guardians version from WWE that he bought. Each team has one, and it's kind of like the Cavs junkyard dog chain where like the
Yep.
MVP of each game gets the belt. So I had tweeted him and I joked. I said, "You got to buy a second belt now because we've got tag team champion Nailers." And he tweeted back at me with a picture of the two of them holding the belt together, with a picture of the belt. And with like, Naylor Bros, LFG, like, and it was a cool moment.
That's awesome. And I would love it. So now that you know Tyler Beatty, let's get him on the pod. Let's chat with him. Go ahead and send him a message. See if we can get him on. The thing that gets me with this team, so we're 9-3. Never saw that coming. We have the second best record in baseball. We talked about it very briefly at the beginning, Brian. Plus 35 run differential, which is second best in all of baseball. As of this recording, the Royals actually at plus 39. So, but the Guardians being able to outscore their opponents, that nobody saw this coming. The offense has looked incredible. You have Stephen Kwan, who currently leads the league with a 386 batting average. He also has 2 home runs. Never saw that coming. He's not known for power. He's known for contact, and he has had
And he almost had a
multiple hit
third.
games. Yeah, multiple hit games. Like he's the catalyst at the top of the order. Done really well. You have Josh Naylor, who's hit 3 home runs. He's hitting 333. Jose Ramirez leads the team in RBIs with 10. You've got Andres Jimenez. He continues to get hit. LOL. He gets on base by any means. I mean, him, yeah. Andres Jimenez getting hit in the batter's box. He's getting hits on the field. This offense has looked great. You got Brian Rocchio. He's looked solid at short. He's hitting 243. I think it shows why he's the guy for the job. We talked about Tyler Freeman. Defensively in center looks great. He's only hitting 200, but he's gotten some timely hits when we've needed him. A surprise has been Ramon Laureano. I can't believe he's played almost every day. Um, he's been great on defense. He's getting stolen base. He's getting stolen bases. He's getting hits. And now Bo Naylor is looking like he's coming alive. And I mean, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 guys in our lineup right now that are hitting the ball and doing really, really well. You also have Silly Willie. You got Will Brennan. He's hitting the ball well. And my unsung hero of the Guardians this year is David Fry, utility man, Swiss Army knife extraordinaire. He's hitting 313. He had a big 3-run homer in a game where it looked like we were going to have zero offense. He put the team on his shoulders, hits one out of the park. David Fry, who had David Fry on their bingo card? Anybody?
I kind of did.
Well, kudos for you. I
Well,
love
because,
having him
but
here.
with the caveat of if they used him properly, and they are. Same thing with Ramon Laureano.
Yeah.
That I had mentioned. in our preview, and I put this out on Twitter, like kind of what this offense was capable of. And there was a way, if you utilize guys right with their positional splits of righty lefty matchups and things, that you could get the best out of them. David Fry, Ramon Laureano, Will Brennan, all of them were in that bunch. And I think you're seeing some of that, especially with David Fry and Ramon Laureano. Now, they are in the top 10 and WRC plus or in the top 10 of runs and things like that. But there's a couple of things that I'm looking at and I'm like, well, but also that still exists and that's still a thing. And so in terms of exit velocity, so how hard the ball is hit, they're second
Mhm.
last. So they're
Yeah,
still the
they're
bloop troop.
which
And
is fine.
in terms of barrel percentage, they're second last. You want to know who's last?
The White Sox.
Yes. Good
Yeah, well,
guess.
I had a feeling I'd get one right. I was either going to go with the White Sox or the A's,
In
but
hard
you're
hit
actually pretty good.
percentage, third last. So they're getting it done. And then what, home runs? I think they're in the bottom 10,
Yeah,
bottom 10 in home
we're
runs. So
not
they've
a
hit a
team that has
few.
a ton of power. Right.
No,
We're not
so
gonna.
that still exists. That aspect of things still exists. Uh, and we wanted them to get some power in the offseason. There's a couple of guys. There's I think it'd be easier if Kyle Manzardo or if he was playing a lot better in AAA right now, because Estevan Florial doesn't seem to be getting it done right now. He's not playing a lot,
No.
but also he hasn't done much. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more Gabriel Arias in the DH role too.
Yeah.
He hasn't played a whole lot. And so you do have that opportunity to I think Estevan Floro would be the one to go if they did bring up Manzardo or Chase DeLauder or somebody. I don't think those guys are quite ready yet because they are
Mm-mm.
struggling a little bit in AAA, but
Well, the
they seem
Lauder
to
is still
be
at Double A, so
right.
I don't know if he's going to make the jump quite yet. I know he did get his first uh extra base hit. He had a double a few games ago. So shout out to Chase DeLauder. He'll be there soon. I think. But I agree with Florial. He's only had 14 at bats, Brian, and he struck out 7 times.
Yeah, he's
That's a
not
lot. That's a lot.
right, and
I
it's
think
early,
I know that we took a flyer on him, and I just don't think it's working out.
and it is early. So like with a lot of guys, Will Brennan and you mentioned Brian Rocchio and Tyler Freeman, they're hitting under 240, 250. It's still early and given that those guys are rotational pieces, Freeman not as much. They're not getting as many at bats to get into that groove, and I think they will. But it's been really interesting how they've utilized the DH spot, and when they do
Yeah.
call up a Kyle Manzardo or somebody, I think that's where they'll be able to utilize him a little bit more and maybe less of this rotation. If you need a pinch outfielder, David Fry played some right field last year and he started off a little rocky, but I would imagine he's worked on that in the offseason. But he's
Same with
been,
Arias. Arias can play in
yes,
the outfield if they need him.
right.
So
If you move down from Florial, because Manzardo doesn't play right field. But for David Fry, he has the most at bats at the DH position. And when he plays DH, he has a 300 batting average. They've been putting Jose there for a couple of games. Jose has a 400 batting average when he's DHing. Um, Florial and Brennan, not so much. And Florial he's got 11 of his plate appearances have been in the DH spot. So he hasn't even been playing the field that much. When they've been playing him, he's been in that DH role. And
yeah.
so far we're not seeing a lot out of him.
No, but I think what we need to do is how can we give a shout out to the best bullpen in baseball? The Cleveland Guardians folks have the best bullpen in all of baseball, a 1.29 earned run average, 4 saves. They've only given up 7 earned runs all season. They haven't given up a single home run. They're the only team in baseball whose bullpen has not given up a home run. They have struck out 59 batters. And as a team, we have a 2.69 ERA. Phenomenal. You've got Emmanuel Clase looking like the Saves leader from last year. We need a setup guy. I know it's early. I'm missing Angel De Los Santos right now. Uh, Barlow has not looked great. 5 2/3, 6 walks, 6 hits, 6 strikeouts. That triple six right there, I don't like that. We gotta. He's not been great, and I was hoping that he would be that bridge, and
Yeah,
he's
I
not.
think so. I think Barlow was the pitcher when I was referring to the instance where I felt like Vogt made a mistake. Felt like he brought Barlow back, left him in a little bit too long. He got out of the previous inning and then he brought him back for the next inning and then he put some guys on. We didn't usually see that a lot out of Tito of
Mm-mm.
bringing guys back unless it was like he got, one out in one pitch and then you can bring him back into the next inning.
Right.
So eh, that I want to give him a little bit of a pass on. Again, it's early. I think Barlow comes around. De Los Santos, he had his opportunity in the eighth inning spot and he didn't really step up either.
No,
I have a
the only reason
feeling,
I said that because currently he has a 1.8 earn run average for San Diego. That's the only
yeah.
reason why I said it.
Well, and we'll see. Sam Henches is going to be back here soon.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll see. I think when Rosie was on, he had mentioned Hunter Gaddis, and I think
Gaddis has
Hunter
looked
Gaddis
really good.
could start to get some of that late inning relief spot. Maybe take some of the pressure off of Barlow for a little bit. Nick Sandlin has looked really, really good. There
You
has
mentioned
been,
him earlier, Tyler Beatty too. Tyler Beatty has looked incredible.
yeah,
I,
he's one of
I'm
those
glad we got
guys.
him.
He's one of those guys that I had mentioned during the off season, like when I was kind of doing my analysis of how the Guardians operate, and then obviously the same thing with Carlos Carrasco. There's always those non-roster invite free agent guys that end up making big impacts, and Tyler Beatty could end up being that guy for us this year. So there have been some really good guys. The innings pitched is in the top 10. It's not terrible yet. So,
Could
but
be.
we need to start to get a little bit more length out of the starters because you don't want to overuse them. I had mentioned last year how the,
Well,
the the bullpen was really good at the beginning of last year, and then they really
mhm.
trailed off because I think of a little bit of overusage. I think we saw that a bit with Eli Morgan. Eli Morgan has looked really good in some spots, and then other
Yeah.
times he struggled a little bit, but he also at the time of one of his struggles, he had pitched like 4 of 6 games. So uh it those kinds of things we'll see how maybe with the double day off that we kind of just had with the rain delay, that gives the guys a little bit of extra rest, but I wouldn't be surprised if unfortunately somebody like Cade Smith who's been playing really really well and been a great
Yeah.
reliever, there's some roster manipulation for a couple of days to get a fresh arm up here. He goes down to Columbus briefly and
Right.
then that fresh arm pitches, and then he gets called back up just because you know of guys that have options, and you can mess around a little bit with that. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens, especially because there's a lot of guys that are starting to get healthy. I believe Ben Lively is going to be coming up here. He's going to be replacing Shane in the rotation. There is who else was in who there was Xavier Curry was also one of
Yep.
those guys like Ben Lively who was sick at the end of spring training, and so he wasn't injured. Same thing with Lively. Neither of them were injured. They got the virus, they were calling it. They weren't calling it the flu. They got the clubhouse virus in spring training, and so they missed like a week, and that just hurt their ramp up time. So you have
Yeah.
another guy like Xavier Curry who can come in and eat innings, and who they might want up here in case one of the starters is only going to go 4 innings because Xavier can go 2 or 3 for you.
Right. And you're also going to have Gavin Williams, who started the season on the injured list. He's close to returning from what I heard on the broadcast the other night. So there will have to be a few roster moves. I think we're going to need that fifth starter with Shane being gone. And I think Lively will be the first man up. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was two moves made, because you're also going to need Sam Henches coming back. Curry's coming back. So there's probably going to be 3, 4 moves coming. And it'll be interesting because if these guys that we didn't have at the beginning. They're coming in. We're only going to get better. And guys, we're 9-3. So
Yeah,
again,
I mean,
kudos.
we just talked about all those guys that are coming back. Well,
Hmm.
how do you option somebody from the best bullpen in baseball?
Right.
Like that's
It's
a
going
tough
to be,
decision.
yeah. And this is what's going to make Stephen Vogt work a little bit. This is why he's got a staff. They're going to have to make some tough decisions. It's going to have to happen. And hopefully the guys that are coming back can slide right into the best bullpen in baseball. And the wheel just keeps rolling. That's the hope, right? That's all we
Yeah.
got.
Well, tomorrow's the
So,
doubleheader. It should be
yep.
exciting. Also, the Masters is going to be on. So, I'm all done with my painting, and I am going to be very much parked in my couch and
I
enjoying the
my
afternoon tomorrow.
my wife is gone for the weekend. I will be sports enthralled all weekend
Bachelor
with the
Mike.
Masters, with baseball. I do have my two kids, so that's fine. It's totally okay. They're self-sustaining. They don't really need me to do anything. So I can give them money to get food. We'll be fine. It'll all be great. But we'll be back probably in another week to 10 days. We'll do a recap. Obviously, the Yankees in town, huge series. Let's see how they do against the team with the best record in baseball, the Yankees. Could be a playoff preview, so to speak. And we'll see where we're at. I mean, 9-3, who'd have thunk it? I know I didn't. So I better get on board and realize that this team could be for real this time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. Let's hope things keep going well and we start to see some improvement. Either way, as we always say, it's going to be interesting at least.
Yep, buckle up and enjoy the ride, right? We say it every year. Buckle up, enjoy the ride. It's Guardians baseball. Until next time, friends, be safe, be kind to each other. You are enough. We'll see you next time.
Talk to you soon.